Hey everyone, I'm David Finz, and on this episode of the Cyber Insurance Imperative, we're going to be discussing the somewhat messy coverage issues surrounding impersonation fraud or social engineering and computer fraud. In the case of City of Unalaska versus National Union Fire Insurance Company, a federal court recently ruled that coverage applied to a claim for computer fraud, where the insured was able to establish a direct loss by what is known as proximate causation. In the underlying claim, an employee of the insured received a fraudulent request to change a vendor's payment instructions. Now, assuming that the request was accurate, the employee proceeded to update the bank account information and execute payments on several invoices, resulting in the funds going to the fraudster's account. Upon discovery of the fraud several months later, the insured reported the incident to its commercial crime insurer. The insurer agreed to cover the claim under a separate impersonation fraud endorsement, which carried a sublimit. However, it declined coverage for the balance of the loss under the policy's computer fraud insuring agreement on grounds that the use of email to perpetrate the fraud was incidental to the chain of steps that led to the loss. In the ensuing coverage litigation, the court disagreed with the insurer's rationale for declining coverage. While the insurer contended that the policy's computer fraud coverage required the insured to show that the fraudster's actions led to a direct loss without any intervening steps, the court found that the email instructions received by the insured fraudulently caused the transfer of funds and that the insured had a reasonable expectation that coverage would apply to the loss. Now, what does this mean for our viewers? Well, first of all, please understand that there are two policies that can pick up this sort of exposure. One is your fidelity or crime policy, and the other is a cyber policy. This social engineering or impersonation fraud that was sublimited under the commercial crime policy is one area where these two coverages can overlap. So it's very important to know where the coverage for social engineering resides, and of course to try to make sure it is not sublimited or to have the highest sublimit possible. So why would you not want coverage under both policies, you may ask? Well, that can be pretty messy. They can lead to a lot of finger pointing between the two carriers, and there may be separate retentions under each that don't line up. Sometimes these can be negotiated out, and we can create a shared or hybrid retention between the two policies. But out of the box, you can expect that each carrier will try to assert what is called the other insurance clause, which means that they're going to take the position that they sit excess of the coverage that's provided by the other carrier. And so you wind up in a situation where they cancel each other out. The best way, the cleanest way to avoid this is to have that coverage reside in one place. Now, with respect to the computer fraud, it's great here that the court picked up full limits, but please understand that as courts begin to say that insurers are on the hook for this, don't be surprised if they begin to implement, as they have around social engineering, requirements that the employee verify the change in payment instructions through what is known as an out-of-band process. That simply means picking up the phone and calling the supposed sender of the message, or at least generating a fresh email to a known email address and not simply replying to the fraudster. If those procedures are not followed and they're required under the policy, this could jeopardize coverage. So, of course, the best situation is to not have that contingency apply to the coverage in the first place. But if the broker is not able to negotiate that out, then the insured needs to implement those procedures in order to verify that the change in payment instructions is genuine. Here at Alliant, we are all about making sure that our clients find the more rewarding way to manage risk. So if you would like further details about how to make sure that your cyber and crime coverages line up on this important issue, you can DM me on LinkedIn or email me at david.fins@alliant.com. Thanks for watching.